A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there to my channel, the Twinflame Union. And the title of this channeling session is Divine Masculine Makes a Very Long Phone Call to the Divine Feminine. So let's get started. Now this Divine Feminine and Masculine couple, or this energy, is basically of people who met like almost a decade back. And when they met each other, they were like very young and very enthusiastic. They both had quite a lot of liking for each other, and they both sort of wanted to date each other, wanted to go out with each other, but they were both doing different things in life. And even though they had this strong attraction for each other, but they just did not know how it would work out. Now, the reasons were very, like not so important. Now, after all these years of working, doing inner work, they both realized that basically we could have been together, but we gave too much importance to our differences that the things could not work out. So when they came together initially for the first time, they spent very good time with each other. They would go to a lot of parties together. They would go to a lot of night outs, like nightclubs together. And wherever they were together, people would only look at them like, wow, who are they? Who is this couple? But, and they would even act very cute and always hand in hand and always, like very good friends, almost like best friends, but they were never able to give that label because of the fears that you had back in those days. And especially what I'm being shown is that both of them had a lot of materialistic responsibilities, and they were brought up in such a way. So this is a dynamic of, you can say, social status, materialistic versus spiritualistic. Now, I have always told you guys that there are different dynamics and there are different templates, and all of these templates are connected to societal programming, where the children are taught that if you do this, then you will be loved in the society, or you will have some status or some position. So there has been a lot of struggle for both of them to actually make a mark in the society, whether it is as a man or whether it is as a woman. But for both of them, for the masculine as well as for the feminine, it had been a struggle, quite a struggle to, maybe for a man, he has to sustain a business that his parents have given to him, or his forefathers or his grandparents have given to him, or he has seen that his grandfather struggled a lot in his time. Now, this divine masculine and feminine that I'm channeling, this is a type of construct that has also come into my notice. Like, it is one of the big reasons that leads to a twin flame separation. And that reason is materialism or social status. Now, I can genuinely go very deep into this subject because I know that a lot of divine feminines have been grown up or have been raised, have been raised, and they grew up in atmospheres where they were constantly made to feel unworthy because of their lack of, you could say, wealth or some kind of. And it's not that a child knows all of these things. Obviously, the child doesn't even care. It is the elders and it is the ancestry. And since I would also like to bring to everyone's notice, it's a very, very, very important point that you all should remember, because you're in this journey quite seriously. So obviously those who take it seriously, it's for them, that even though you are born in the time, maybe some of you born in the 80s or the 90s, and some of you, I don't think would be so early on, but yeah, even if you are, then you guys may not have been born in the dark ages, but your parents, your grandparents, their parents, basically your ancestors, they were born in dark ages. And the time of dark ages, that's why it's called dark ages, because the mentality of the people is very, very dark. There is no light. There is no Very few people are genuine thinkers, and very few people are on the spiritual path. Most people are very materialistic, and therefore people who were spiritualistic by, in their lifestyle, they had to face a lot just for being spiritualistic. Just, like there is a story of Mirabai. If you study the story of Mirabai, and Westerners would love to read her or watch about her, it's a brilliant story, that Mirabai was in love with Krishna, and she was basically a staunch devotee, very dedicated to the path of this ascension. And throughout her childhood, her mother taught her that, and the mother gave her very good upbringing, very wise upbringing. But when she grew up and she got married, and then she was born in a royal family, and then she got married also to a king or to a royal family, but the mentality was so different in her life, like after her marriage, that it became a very hard journey for her. She had to really practice everything. And though her husband was very much in love with her, but and we could say that was the type of divine masculine she got. He always created a lot of doubt in whatever she was doing, and he was very jealous of the fact that she was so committed to source, because this was the dark age. In the dark age, the women did not have so much freedom to choose a lifestyle they want. The women were not allowed to speak openly. The women were not even allowed to sing and dance, even if it's for devotion. So she used to sing and dance, and she used to play an instrument, and her music is still very popular. There are many plays that are being performed on Meera's story. There are many books, and there are movies inspired by her life. And of course, she was a mystical character, because when she died, her body wasn't found. She just vanished. She just simply vanished into thin air. So she was a very powerful creature, very powerful human being. But she had to go through these type of words and taunts and, regular basis, people doubting her, people questioning her faith. And it's as simple as just being committed to God. And that too, it was questioned so much. So that was dark age, dark age was there, but it was also bhakti movement in India. So because of few people like Kabir and Rahim, and even we read about Rumi, and we read about Sai Baba, we read about Meera, a lot of people have actually faced so much only for the coming generations. For people like us to basically get all of this wisdom. And I had sung a few lines from Meera's story also. There's a very popular song. It's something like this. मेरे तो गिरधर गोपाल दूसरो न कोई जाके सर मोर मुकुट मेरो पति सोई मेरे तो गिरधर गोपाल दूसरो न कोई. So she had this notion, and she would tell her divine masculine, her husband, because I keep watching her movie. I really like the movie. And he was like, towards the end also, in the end she was given a death sentence by her own family, by the way. And he kept telling her to, come back and not follow the path, not do this, not do that. And he was very fearful, full of fears, and she was very relaxed, and she was very calm, and she would tell him that don't worry, nothing is going to happen to me. I have Lord Shri Krishna, the source will take care of me, don't you worry. And I'm not going to go back from my words. I will do what my soul feels right. You see me as, and these are her last words, by the way, in the courtroom where she was given death sentence. When they said that, how can you sing and dance with people of lower caste? How can you being a queen, being a royal person, how can you mix with the people on the streets? And she would say that what you see in front of you is the body. I don't identify with the body. I am the soul. So such high thinking, they had in the dark ages, in those times. And this is before colonization. So in India, the dark ages actually didn't stay for that long. But whatever time, the British stayed in India for about 150 years. But the damage the British colonization did in India was very deep, even if it wasn't as long as how it happened in other countries. But the damage was so deep because they destroyed the Vedic system, they destroyed the education system, which was the Gurukul system. And the system in India was such that the children, after being born, they were immediately taught focused attention. So imagine if you are born and immediately you start meditating. And when I say meditation, meditation is not what you do while you're sitting. You start from sitting, that's how you learn. You learn to still make your mind still, your body still. You do it for 1 hour every day first, then you do it for 2 hours. You start from 15-20 minutes first. Then you gradually move on to 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour. And slowly you start inculcating that awareness throughout your day. So in a twin flame ascension journey, you cannot obviously live a life of a monk. You cannot go away somewhere. So you have to practice awareness, focused attention throughout the day. Now, why am I talking about all of this in this channeling session? It's very interesting why these things are coming up in this channeling is because when the divine masculine calls the divine feminine, and you know, I was quite amazed by this. He actually spoke about many spiritual things with her that he has realized. Because both of them belong to a social construct where social status, where money, where earning a certain amount or having some kind of recognition in the society was very, very important. That's how they were raised, and that's how their parents were raised. That's how their forefathers, their grandparents, ancestry. This was given to them in their DNA like legacy. If you don't do this, no one will respect you. If you don't earn this much, you are not a man. If you don't do this, you are not a woman. So those type of things were given to them. Or for example, the divine feminine's mother would constantly tell her that, you know, if you really want to do well in life, then you need to be rich, already rich. Only rich people can become rich. Poor can never become rich. Or you need to have that many number of cars, you know, or you need to have that many number of... So if there would be a financial problem in the house for a year, for a 2 year, then it would be a matter of deep shame. Deep shame, like, oh my God, now we are poor. What are other people going to think about us? Now we are doomed, or now we cannot do anything. So these two people, these two divine feminines and masculines have seen or lived in family where there were loans or there were debts that they could not pay for many, many years, or if not debts or loans, this was there at least on one side, I can say for sure. And if there were no loans or debts, then there were constantly this talk of, you know, status and money and this and that. And now the divine feminines, because they're born in this era, they are and of course I don't mean to say all of the people are like aware in this era also. There are many people who are still living in dark ages, because for them it's a karma also that gives people dark age and golden age and silver age. As I said, people like Meera, Kabir, Rahim, Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Sai Baba and all of these brilliant people, Swami Vivekanand, and not just the people who were monks or those who left, even householders, because Kabir was a householder. He had a wife, he had a son, they were in a family, but he was not very rich. But yet, you know, many people like Ibrahim, who was a king, he was his student for over a decade. He worked under him. He would carry the charcoal. He would, you know, prepare the fire. He would clean his house. Imagine the king, you know, such a big king was his servant, just because he wanted to learn from Kabir. And after all these years, when Kabir felt that Ibrahim was ready, he set him off. He said, now you can go back and do whatever you want to do. But by that time, Ibrahim had also tasted the nectar of real love. And anyone who tastes it, I have said this in my channeling, if you find the Kohinoor diamond, you will not be interested in the pebbles and the stones, right? So when you find the real deal, when you find the real true nectar of love, which is pure bliss, pure bliss, purest bliss. Like there's nothing, you cannot even describe it. It's beyond description. When you get that, then what the hell will you be interested in all the useless materialistic gibberish, And then you'll be in the world, you will still do all the worldly required things, you will not run away from your responsibilities. If you need money, you will make money, but you'll make it from good means, and you'll do the right things that should be done, and you'll be a happy person still, whatever you make, you'll spend it with joy. You will not be like, oh, I have to save like so much money, because these things are all predestined. You're not here to become a doctor, pilot, engineer, or whatever, You're here to just be you. And just be you, you don't need to do much. You just have to be but then it's very difficult. Though it's very simple, it's very difficult. So these two people have known each other for over a decade. The ones that I'm talking about. I'm channeling a divine masculine, divine feminine who've known each other for over a decade. And they're these two beautiful, very innocent people who have gone through a lot of trauma, some kind of child abuse. There are different types of child abuse. Like very recently, a friend of mine called me up and he told me that, he was abused by a tutor. So it was really sad. It was very shocking to know, that it was, imagine a tutor who's 70, 80 years old, a really old man, sexually abuses a boy who's just 9, 10 years old. It's disgusting to know what type of world do we live in. And then it can have so much impact on children that they don't want to study. Because they feel like very, the betrayal is so hard. Imagine, first of all, it's an elderly person. Secondly, it's a teacher. So the betrayal is so strong that you cannot focus on your studies. You don't want to study. You're like, what the hell? These books or this type of education, if I'm going to meet people, horrible human beings like these. But these are all people whose bodies and whose souls are possessed by devil and by evil. So they do these type of horrible things. Sex I won't even use the word obsession, because you don't abuse children when you're obsessed. You're just simply an evil person. That's it. So then I've heard so many stories. So many divine masculines have also gone through abuse. It's just that the divine feminines don't know about it. They don't talk about it. They don't know about it. And they have their own pain and trauma too. Now, there are different types of abuse in childhood also. Like just now I spoke about the sexual abuse, but there can be other types of abuse. Like for example, you know a teacher who's a very good teacher, and you fully trust that person, and suddenly one day you find out that the teacher has murdered someone. So imagine what it can do to a child's mind. Or you're just going out somewhere, and there you see a man or a woman has a very spiritual image, has a very nice smile on their face, and then they do something very horrible in front of you, which you cannot. Like I remember once I was in a mall, and I was hardly 15, 16 years old, and I saw a family sitting in the mall and chilling. And they were all chilling, as in the mother was there, the father was there, the children were there, and there was an uncle was there. And no one saw it, but only I saw it. And I don't know why I was the only one who saw it. But one of the uncles, or it was someone like a father figure, in front of everyone, like everyone was there, but they were all so busy. They were also busy talking or chit-chatting. He was literally caressing the breast of the little girl. Like there was a teenager girl also. He was doing it in such a horrible way, and the girl, she had to fake a smile, because imagine you're in a public place, your mother is there, your aunts are there, your uncles are there, your father could also be around, or whatever the situation, and there are other children around, and he was doing something so horrible. And me being an outsider, just a person, I just happened to see that, and I was so shocked. And then you lose faith on humanity, you lose faith on people. So there are various degrees of abuse, and there are various degrees and also various types of abuses. Abuses can be traumatic, for anyone. So being born in a dark, if not in a dark age, but being born in a ancestry which was from the dark age, there are many things that are passed on to you via the DNA, in the womb, in the upbringing. Now, these two people, they have gone through a lot, be it as a child or be it later on, be it in their 20s when they had to establish themselves. But they met each other and they were always very nice to each other. So let me tell you, separation may not always be a very, hard on separation. In many cases, we have seen that people write those comments that I was cheated or he chose someone else and this and that. And it can also be because your situation is so bad, or it can be the responsibilities are such that even though the DM and the DF are totally smitten by each other, very much in love, but they just felt that, they cannot do justice to one another, or they cannot be with one another because they were involved in a daily routine like that. But they kept coming and they kept going, but they kept coming and they kept going. Like they would meet one another after 1 year or 6 months, or there was a time when you were spending a lot of time together when they had initially met. And I've always noticed it in different types of divine feminines and masculines that the first initial meeting, the first phase is always very nice, very warm, very friendly. They have a very good bond. And then later on, things happen in such a way that they have to go away from one another and they get into other relationships. There are karmics or there are false twins. And then they realize via lessons that the social construct is false. The biological construct is also false. They could have mothers and fathers and siblings, but they have no connection with them, and they keep getting backstabbed by their own people for whom they are ready to give their blood and they're ready to give their life. So it really is a heartbreaking situation for them. And now what I've channeled is that the divine masculine calls the divine feminine and shares his heart's pain, his heart's lessons and the journey. And then he keeps telling her how much he likes her and how much happy he feels looking at her, even though they keep connecting and disconnecting. And they also had some ego issues because the divine feminines normally have this habit of speaking everything right in the face. So she would make fun of him, or she would say, you're such a stupid person, you have this lifestyle, you're literally like someone who's very old and someone who's very lazy or very sad or very depressed. But obviously she didn't know what he had been going through. So after all of these years, maybe 10, 11, 12 years of knowing each other, of being together but not being together still, like knowing that we love each other so much, that we have such great bond, but still not being able to do anything about it. So he calls her up, and this time though they have met many times they've gone for parties, and whenever they went out, people really looked up to them, and they were out of the crowd. They would stand out of the crowd and they would have really good time with one another, but then they would go back to their lives and be stuck in the trap. But while being stuck in the trap, they would see each other often, be it on social media, and they would communicate. So again, I would like to say, if there is no contact or no communication, it can also be because of these situations. It's not always that two people are out there to get each other and they're very mean, or they are, fighting a lot. It could be also, maybe she said something, it hurt his ego, and he's like, okay, I don't want to talk to her. Every time I try to talk to her, she says something very mean to me, and then I'm completely put off by that. Or then she also, every time she talks to him, she feels that he's so stupid, like what type of a lifestyle he has, or why is he not brave enough to make changes, or why is he acting like a slave, or why is he this, or why is he that, like I don't understand him, like what is he trying to do, or he's so immature, he's so childish, I don't like the way he giggles, I don't like the way he laughs at these things. And they would talk to each other, maybe meet each other, have like go out for one night, some party, something, but then again they would go back. But even despite all of this, they would always like feel something for each other. And after every bad relationship ending, they would go and meet each other. Like one karmic cycle is over, then they would like spontaneously call each other and they would meet each other. Then they would talk to each other, all their deep things they would share. And now the deepest time has come because it's time for a union situation. And now they've already learned the lessons. Now they realize that, okay, there is a materialistic world and there is a spiritual world and there is something called balance. And they've both learned it by their own journeys, separate journeys, by dating many people, by talking to many people, or by not dating people, by being a hermit. Both of them have gone through hermit phases, like 2 years of being a hermit. And so I'm just channeling those energies in this part 1. Part 2, I'll come to that because there are many things, many heartfelt emotions he shares, many deep feelings he shares with her, and he tells her so many good things, how much he admires her, how much he appreciates her. And she's also like, oh really, you do admire me? I thought you're just always making fun of me and poking jokes at me, and it's just a party or a get-together scene. But he's like, no, it's not like that. I've always really loved you and I've always really felt something for you, but I don't know what it is and how it is gonna be and things like that. So this is where I end part 1, and I will meet you again in part 2. And again, as I said, that these are the energies that I'm talking about, and many of you all over the planet, all over the globe is going to resonate with these energies, because many of you have this issue of social construct and understanding love, and you understand love by getting these social construct norms literally plastered on your or blasted on your face, or you're literally forced to accept them. You're literally stuck in the trap because you're a good person. People who are good by nature, they are very duty bound, they're very responsible, and they just don't know where the responsibility lies. Like, they will continue to be responsible. That's what this journey teaches you. It teaches you not to be an escapist. So you will now understand that my responsibility is not only limited to biological people, because biological people, all the people who I have these biological relationships with, I'm just here to learn a lesson, and I don't have the same frequency as them. I may have the DNA construct, but I also have, because you could be a star seed, so you have your original star seed DNA also, but the other DNA that you found in your body through the blood and through the birth, those also need to be corrected. And then that way you will be correcting the whole template, because there are other people who will get affected by your energy sooner or later, if not now, maybe in next birth or next to next birth, but they will be seeing an authentic person, very authentic, very practical person in the family, who's a complete social worker. So even though you make money, but you will be spending the money. It's not important how much you make and what you do and this and that. It's more important where you spend and who do you take care of. That is the most important thing. So on this note, I'm going to end the part 1. In part 2, I will talk to you about the conversations they have, because they are in the final stages of this union situation. Now, again, this is a progress from 3D to 5D, but there is also progress after 5D also. Some people think that after 5D there is nothing happening. That's not true. So one love and peace out, and I'll see you soon.